Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio. Journey with Grandmother Allayah as she enters her magical world of relics, sacred sites, and ancient crystal skulls. Meet with exciting trailblazer authors and individuals shifting the consciousness of humanity. Send her your questions to be answered on air on her monthly segment, Ask the Oracle. And now your host, Grandmother Allayah, in the sanctuary on the airwaves on OMTimes Radio.
Welcome, dear hearts. Welcome into the circle. I am Allayah. I'm so happy today to be part of this new beginning for us all. And today I want to bring to you a very special friend, an awakening soul, someone who has worked with me in spiritual alignment to share different chats on the airwaves. Soul to soul talks. Charlie, the Riverman Bergeron. And Charlie, I hope I got your name right. He's a poet, a published poet. He's a modern day mystic and a spirit messenger of source. He and I have so many things in common, and one of the things was we both came back after an NDE. And we have reconnected a few years ago, and we've been working in spiritual alignment to share different things and different seedings and new things to bring forth to the collective consciousness. Hi, Charlie. Are you still there with me?
I am, Allayah. I am, and hopefully you can hear me.
Oh, yeah. No, you're perfect.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
So we, as part of the soul-to-soul talks that we'll be having during the different times throughout the year, what we usually do is purely through spiritual guidance, we'll get this one word, and like this on this show is detachment. The word detachment, and it's we're going to concentrate on that. And it's new year. Last year was so difficult, all the energies that people faced. And at the beginning of the new year, everybody has this time of reflection. They're saying, all right, what's the new year going to bring me? What's my soul path? Where am I going? Why am I even here on this earth? And, I've gone through so much. I've gone through all these spiritual releases. And now honestly, at this point in time, a lot of the collective energy of everyone is starting to feel the shift. Something's going on here. Something's different. It's not that I'm not desensitized to all the world violence, etc., but I'm feeling different. And then the word came up, detachment. And I spoke to Charlie about this, and we go, this is perfect. This is where we are in the now. So, Charlie, what does detachment mean to you?
Well, it's an interesting word. And in our talks prior to this, as you said, we usually find a word and then try to redefine it based on how we feel now, rather than what it has been told to us the meanings are. And so when you look up the word detachment, it has a lot of, to me, sort of negative feeling meanings. And when I think about detachment, I had to realign and say, is it detachment in a negative sense, and is that what we're really sensing, a negativity? And I came to the realization that it really doesn't have a positive or negative energy. What detachment just is, it's the expression of disconnection to me. And disconnection is when we energetically, when we disconnect energy, just like you unplug a radio or a TV. What happens? That energy still is there. You're just no longer connected to that energy.
Do you think it's because we're seeing, we're awakening to so many different things now that we're able to step back and we're saying, okay, that's not my energy, or look at the violence of the world, and we're looking, instead of feeding into it, we're saying, what is really happening here? What is it really trying to show us?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're doing is the process that we're going individually as well as collectively is that stepping back and being able to discern. We've discussed discernment before, but discern, to take a look at this and say, wait a minute, this just doesn't fit. This just doesn't, this is not my energy. This does not resonate with me. It's doesn't mean that it's not there, but what do I do now? The question, I think, for all of us is, what do I do? My whole life I've been sort of an activist or a warrior, or I've been, an advocate, and all of these things are still happening, but I just don't seem to be able to rally or muster that sort of, that same energy towards it.
It's not because we don't care.
Oh, absolutely not. Right. We do care. This is the part that I find is sort of the challenge for us, is we do care very much, but we're able to not be manipulated by it.
Yeah, so we're seeing the bigger picture of everything now.
Correct.
Because,
I look at it. I look at it in the process of, and I've mentioned this analogy before, we're looking at it from the 100th floor now rather than ground floor.
Yeah, it's sort of like above looking down, because
Right.
people are really, they're finding out that they're just more than what they thought they were before. It's not this mass awakening, but it's like this gentle stirring that makes people wonder, okay, something's different about me.
Right. I like that analogy, gentle stirring. The vision came of making a stew, and you add all of these ingredients, and then you stir them, and then you get this wholesome body of richness, and so that's what we're doing individually, is we're each awakening to being more than what we've been taught we were. We're awakening to the reality of who we truly are and our multi-dimensional abilities, and we're becoming comfortable with that, because in the beginning it can be fearful and stressing, and I talk to a lot of people, and they sort of freak out and they don't want to hear a lot of things, and I just relax. We're all going through this.
And I always hear the thing is, people say, what should I be doing? And I always get, just be.
Yes.
Just be you. Just try to center and realize you don't have to save the world. You don't have to heal the world. You just have to open your heart and be the spirit that you are.
Yes, this is a challenge, because when you look up the word detachment, everything is, a lot of the meanings and definitions refer to your mind, and your mind is the controlling part, and the mind is what needs to be detached, and we need to sort of detach ourselves from the process of the mind and live more from our heart, and express what our heart feels. And we've been, over the centuries and thousands of years, we've been denied that. Whenever people would express their heart, somebody came up with a rule: you can't do that, or a law, because that was not societally correct, or that was not religiously correct, and we were only trying to express ourselves, our true selves. But over the history of societies and civilizations, we keep making rules to stop us from that.
And I really
It's
wonder
bizarre. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I really wonder why, why that happens. That I guess it's all for growth, really.
Yep.
It's people say that we're on this earth to learn.
Mhm.
So I guess we keep on putting all these challenges in front of us so that we
And
grow from them.
and we are learning, and this is what we're learning now. Is we're learning how to be part of something, and yet and unite with it and be part of it, and yet also be separate from it. And
Mm.
that's a hard thing for the mind to capture and work with, because the human mind likes things and facts and figures and nice square little boxes and packages. And we, as I call ourselves divine beings of light, we we can we can see things when we allow ourselves to in very different aspects. Uh, and
And
that's challenges the mind. Challenges the mind.
yeah, it just even getting our thoughts together and everything is we need to just let this guidance come in, and we're going to figure out how to bring it through. And just to, it's really a challenge. I think we're all aiming to be channels on this earth. So as we go and going, you know, to be a channel, and it's a lot of times so much information comes through me that right now I'm just going to have to kind of take a quick break, regroup my mind, and we'll continue this, Charlie. Maybe my thoughts will come clearer.
They will.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hi, my name is Monica and I'm the host of Co-Creating Now. Give yourself an opportunity to connect with your all-knowing higher self and manifest joy, love and peace together every Tuesday 11 a.m. Eastern.
Hi, I'm Katrina Kavanagh, host of the I Am Wisdom radio show. I Am Wisdom is about the connection between mind work and energy work, spirituality and living a wonderful life. Looking forward to sharing each Sunday 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with you.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Well, we're back. We're back right now. And now that I've got my brain, gave it a little bit of a rest here and try to center myself. When we talk about detachment, Charlie, I know that both you and I on our social media, a lot of times people contact us and they're really in a very intense situations, or they're living in parts of the world that they just can't handle anymore. And we really just can't go and say to them, well, just be who you are and just detach. I mean, if you're living in an area that's war torn, or if you're living in an area of poverty or some kind of major life event happening to you, how can we help them? Just to say detach, they're going to look at us like we got three eyes, like you're really not living in the real world, people.
Well, this is yeah. How do we express that? There's a quote that I ran across when I was trying to just I get guided to look at things, and the quote it's by Sri Chinmoy, and the quote is, "Your heart must become a sea of love. Your mind must become a river of detachment." And it's a very simple statement, that, as I was trying to say before, when we shift our thinking from our thinking rational mind into our hearts, and we're descending basically our higher self into our heart chakra, which is our higher self, and it's a whole dimension of living that is so beautiful, and this is what we're experiencing. And so the problem is that when the energy starts to disconnect, and we start to detach, it creates uncertainty. And only the mind recognizes uncertainty. We, as spirit beings, there is no uncertainty. Everything is in perfection. And we forget that because we live in war-torn societies. We live in areas where there's great segregation. There's abuse, there's harm, there's starvation, all of these sufferings that humanity is going through. And we have to just continually allow people to say, yes, this is not, the old favorite saying is, this is all an illusion. But for the people who are experiencing this is not an illusion, it's a reality.
Yeah, it is that hurtful reality. Sometimes, even myself, I don't know how to reach out to them because I've never experienced being in a war-torn area. I don't know what it's like to have bombs around me, to be in fear constantly. And somebody says, and being in such intense situations, and someone said, all right, well, it's an illusion, or, your spirit and detached, I would go, I don't know about this at all.
Exactly. So it's a very deep reality for the people who are experiencing these things. And so how can they, in those situations, detach? And I think the reality is it's quite possibly they can't detach unless they are physically removed from it. So in that case, how far can they go to feel some sense of comfort, or some sense of
Being safe, really.
well-being? Yeah, well-being, which is in the essence of all of us. We are living on a planet that is very volatile. It's a very volatile planet. It's not intentional. It's how it expresses itself. What we're doing in humanity is the same thing. This is the expression of our volatility. These wars, this hatred, all of these things. This is it's expressing itself. And so what each of us kind of have to do is, there's no cure and no answer, but is whatever you can do to sort of detach from it and say, yes, this is occurring, but here within my little enclave, or my family, or if you're hiding in a cave, whatever the situation is, this is where I connect with my family, my children, my daughters, and all I can do is love them. All we can do is love.
So maybe they just need to, if someone says that to them, or like we're putting out ideas to people out in the world there, that even if you're in the most intense situation, to find a space in your heart, and if you look at your children, or if you look at your fur children, animals,
Yeah.
or whatever it is,
wherever you find the sense of love.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Wherever you see it, feel it, and bring it into your heart. Just maybe that simple act would be a first step for them.
Yeah. I think I can't encourage people more than to find some sense of love. And I mean, we can express unconditional love. We've over the years, this is what the problem has been, is the unconditional love that we are and that has been expressed in our creation has not been expressed outwardly. We've found 1,016 reasons why we can't unconditionally love somebody or something. And so we need to reconnect to that unconditional love. That's what we express as divine love, the love of the creator, however you want to look at it. But it's in us. We can deny it, but we can't stop it. Somewhere within us, in every person, including the murderers, and I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say even within the murderers, the rapists, etc., there are cells which will recognize unconditional love.
I think that's a great topic that I was talking to someone else about that I hope to bring up, that even though these people have chosen wrong, or to our perception it's wrong, but they're still spirit, they're still light,
And yes, and they can be triggered through unconditional love. Now, I'm not going to say it might be massive amounts that it would take. I don't know. I don't understand that. But I know that on a cellular level, there is nobody cut off from that energy, because that's the energy of source. When we talk about the word soul, and, there's 1,000 meanings for that. But when I was channeled from my higher self and they channel in acronyms to write the word soul, it was presented to me: soul, source of unconditional love.
And that's within the heart of every life form, every being, every molecule.
It's an energy. It's an energy form. And so what happens is energy is never destroyed. You can hide it, you can bury it, you can do thousands of things, but it doesn't get destroyed. So what happens is, in the process of detachment, we confuse ourselves and say, well, I'm detaching from somebody, so I'm taking that energy away, and blah, blah, blah. And it's really, we're just not allowing certain energies to destroy our communication with unconditional love. We're still compassionate. We're still caring.
So it's choice again. Now we're bringing the word that plays into detachment. We choose what we see, what we feel, what we experience, etc.
Yes. We're always a choice. The choice is, it's on a quantum level. It goes down to being quantum energy rather than anything else. And so, how you choose to look at something is how it's going to react, and that expresses itself all the way down into atoms and subatomic particles. It's no different than us. The difference with us is that we have this brain that has been programmed to look at things in certain ways and say that these ways are acceptable, and anything out of that is not acceptable. And so what we have to do is break down the box, or color the walls of the box a bright color so that our thoughts can get through them. It's most important at this time for everybody to rethink everything they've ever been told, and to think it with their heart energy. And how does that relate to unconditional love?
Yeah,
and am I expressing this, or am I refusing this?
That's true. And is my thoughts my own thoughts, or is it part of all the energy that's around me that I'm feeling? So, it gets complicated, but I think just sharing these ideas, and we do share, we're no experts.
Right. I'm experiencing it just as you are, just as the people who are being attacked are. We're all experiencing this to a degree. Fortunately, mine is more comfortable than others. So I get the opportunity to play with it more than somebody who is in a situation of crisis.
That's true. And like I said, just, I think our point of sharing these ideas on the world is for someone listening just to make them think a second. Even if they disagree with us, if it just causes them to think about it, well, that's an opening. It'll be their choice whether they want to or not. So, again, we're thinking of opening communication out to the world. We're sharing ideas.
And as I said to you before in our talks, I believe that 2015 is the year of action. But by action, I'm not meaning to go out there and wave a flag or dance a dance, but an action of self, of really connecting with your inner self and saying, who are you really? That's the action we need to take, is look deep and hard within ourselves.
And I think you have to be almost ready. Something within you has to be ready and say, am I ready to see this world different? Am I ready to help make a change? Am I ready to understand and to make choices? And like I said, people may not agree, and that's absolutely fine if they don't agree with us. We respect everyone's religion and path and ideas. We're just offering some ideas, maybe just think about and see where it fits in with your ideas. So holding on to that thought, Charlie, I think maybe we're going to talk a little bit about unconditional love in a few seconds. Regroup again, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
And we're back. I was just lost in thought there for a moment. Like, where do we can talk about detachment, we can talk about choice, we can talk about so many things. But what can we honestly offer these people, Charlie? How can we make people sit there and realize, even if you have very strong deeply embedded religious beliefs, which we respect. You know, I don't want anybody getting that wrong. But if, let's say if you're in the war-torn areas, or even if you are, there's so much violence out there, people killing people, you know, terrorists and all this, and they all have their reasons, they all have their cause. How do we change this? How do we tell the masses, you don't have to accept this? What can they do as individuals?
Well, the key is it has to be done individually. What I learned in this lifetime, in particular, was when I was young, I was an activist, and I was involved with a lot of things that are still going on now, and nothing has changed. And I look, and I almost sometimes I'm weakened at a certain level to say, all of these years I have spent in this lifetime working towards the betterment of humanity in many different ways and different things, and things just don't seem to be budging an inch. And so what happens is, when we look at the picture and we look at whatever we're going through, there is a loss. There is a sense of loss and a sense of pain, and we all do have that. And when we think about detaching and say, well, I feel like I'm detaching myself from these things. It doesn't seem, the energy doesn't seem, the passion doesn't seem, something doesn't seem right anymore. And again, we come up to a sense of some kind of a sense of loss. So I would just look at this, that when all of this happens, what is there? There is loss. There is a loss. And the loss is personal. It's personal, it's collective, and everything loses. Not only the individual person, but the planet loses, the galaxy loses, it extends out, whatever sense of loss is. So how do we get that down to an individual level? And we have to just allow people and tell people to say, we need to redefine how we look at things, what we do about them. You need to be able to firstly look at that. The first place it hits you is energy, and loss is a sense of energy. You sense that loss, and that's all it is. It's a loss of energy. And what happens is we've become so accustomed to certain energies because they've been prevalent. My whole lifetime, these energies have been prevalent. I've not liked them my whole lifetime. It hasn't changed. My not liking them hasn't changed them at all. Things I did it's changed some, but it hasn't really made a big impact. So what really hasn't changed? What hasn't changed is the fact of how they affect me. And how they affect me makes me respond in certain ways.
Respond differently, yeah.
Right. So in order to respond differently, I have to say, I'm no longer going to allow these to trigger in me the responses that I've been giving it my whole life. I'm going to respond differently. I don't know how I'm going to do that. But I know that if I respond differently, then the outcome will be different. Because as I said, on a quantum level, if you respond, if you do certain things, certain actions create a different reaction. So what happens in detachment is it's the opening door of pulling back and saying, oh, I read this article and I'm horrified, and you get that rush of energy. And then you have to stop and say, that's what the energy has done to me my entire life. And 99% of the time, it's fear.
That's a big one, yeah.
It's fear. It triggers some form of fear within us. And so we have to look at that and say, I'm not going to accept this as the answer. This is clearly visible. It's clearly a reality. But I'm not going to accept that this is the answer, or this is what's going on. There's something going on, but it's on a level that I don't understand yet. And the only way I can find out is if I pull back and withdraw my energy from it. Because every time we're hit with energy that triggers a response, an empathic response from us, what we do is we immediately charge it. Our energy goes right to it. It's like a magnet. It draws it right to it, and we're frozen. Now we're frozen. That all our energy is captured by that, whatever it is.
So we're repeating patterns.
We do unconsciously. Yes, it's not a conscious thing. We're unconscious of how our energy is trapped. Now, I'm going to take this a step further. In my own personal walk of life, I am now working on cellular memory, okay, because it gets trapped in our memory. And we're now working on releasing cellular memory and memory that's in our DNA that occurred probably millions of years ago and probably in other star systems. Okay? And people will look at me as if I'm just totally off the charts. But what I'm going to say is, and I bring this out, is because this is how big all of what's going on is. It's not just here. It's just not a group of cartoonists in Paris. It's not just a group of religions. It's not just a group of different colored or different sexually oriented people here on Earth. This extends out all the way through our ancestral DNA and has been going on and going on and going on. And if we don't stop it now, and if we don't start detaching from it now, it's going to perpetuate to our children and our children's children and our children's others. So this is what's the important of action, of detachment. So what can I say to people? However you can do this, take a different look. When your energy is charged, whether it's anger or it's fear or it's hurt, look at what caused that and say, I have a choice. I have a choice. It's not locked in stone. Just because every human for the past 10,000 years has been responding like this doesn't mean I have to. It's time we stand into our own power and say, this no longer resonates with who I am or who I feel that I'm becoming.
No, I think that's perfect when you say who they feel like they're becoming, because a lot of people, on the average, I would say, are so locked into their identities that they forget that there's something within them, their spiritual or connection to source that animates them.
Right.
And this forgetfulness they need to be reminded.
This is what we're doing. We are reminding. We're reminding ourselves.
Oh, that's sure.
This is what the process, and this is, and it's going to sound strange, but this is the gift, the hidden gift in all of this, is we get another opportunity to look at this and say, we can't keep doing this. And I may not be the one that's pulling the trigger or stabbing the knife or burning down the forest for whatever reason, but as long as my energy is trapped and entangled, it's called quantum entanglement. As long as my energy is entangled in that energy, it's useless. And so detachment is sort of the unentangling of my energy from that energy and saying, I don't know yet how I'm going to use that energy, but I know it can be used for a far better purpose than to be entangled in that energy.
So you're simply, in simpler terms, you're taking your energy back, you're taking your light back, you're rediscovering yourself. And
Yes.
This seems to be the most important step that person can do, is just to rediscover or to see themselves differently.
It is all about self-discovery, and it can be done in the midst of war, and it can be done in the midst of pain and suffering. It can be done in the midst of homelessness. It can be done, is suffering from cancer or illnesses. The opportunity is never not there to rediscover.
It's that choice again.
This is a choice, but it's a choice because we're now going to choose from within our heart space rather than from within our head space. And this is, again, the shifting of consciousness from the mind to the heart. We now have computers and systems that are far, far greater than our human mind. Okay, because that's another story, but that's okay. But and humanity will intentionally use those and put the mind on hold. So what do we do then? Who are we then when our mind is no longer the ruler of the world, but some computer is? Where are we then? So this is very important right now for us to redefine, are we the mind or are we something else?
Yeah, this is, like I said, that's something to really think. I mean, even for people in listening to say, all right, I thought my mind was my identity, but now you got two people here talking and saying, no, actually, maybe my heart should be my identity. Yeah. So we're going to have to kind of let people ponder on this for a few seconds and to, get the feel of this, because I know even myself, I always identify myself, my personality, my mind, how my mind works. And, we both laugh because our minds have been rewired from these NDEs. But I got to start thinking about that. We're going into the last segment by thinking by our hearts. And think on this, Charlie, and see what kind of message you can bring through for us in the next few minutes.
Of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com.
The Laying On of Hands Healing Radio Show is about treating the whole person, mind, body, and spirit. Join me, Charles Smith, as I share life-balancing measures such as nutrition and spiritual practices to help you take charge of your own health and wellness every Thursday at 7 p.m. on OMTimes Radio.
Hi, my name is Monica, and I'm the host of Co-Creating Now. Give yourself an opportunity to connect with your all-knowing higher self and manifest joy, love, and peace together every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Well, Charlie, we're back. Have you thought about, in our last segment here, if there's something that you want to bring through that maybe can reach out to people for us?
Yeah, we ended up, as a process of detachment, looking at It's actually the recalling of our energy from situations, people, places, and things that no longer serve us from a heart level. They serve us on a head level, but and not fully functionally serve us, but we've been entrained to think they do. And so we're calling that back. And so here's the transition. What do you do with that energy? We need to now transfer it back to the heart. Okay, so now the next scenario in my head says, well, what do you do with it when it's in the heart? You have this big overflowing heart, and we talked about unconditional love. So that's something into itself. However, as during the breaks, I tried, to channel with my guides and come through, and they about the word unconditional, and it may not make sense, but these are the words that came through, and I will have to think about this and probably post it on my page at some later point and redefine it, because it's in its rough point. But these are if I take the word unconditional and I just go UNC and come up with the words, and this is what came, was unified, non-judgmental, constant overflowing, natural, dependable invitation to intentionally orient never-ending action locally. Now, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I've not done a word that long before. But I think with the message, what my heart is saying the message is that usually we're triggered with fear, and if you look around the world, we're being triggered by fear from a very global source, and most of the times they look like they're bigger than there's anything we can do, and so it creates a sense of hopelessness. But by returning to unconditional love, what happens is we can focus it and we can channel it locally. And locally means to the guy in the grocery store, to your next door neighbor, to the guy who's, riding by beeping his horn at you. Part of the process is learning to forgive. Part of the process is learning to ignore. And I think part of the process is to just feel comfortable. And
well, it's okay, really.
That it's okay to love. That it's okay to love, not for any reason, not because somebody's good looking, not because they're just to love. And part of that is the energy is going to be turned into self-love. And I think what's happened in society and around the world and everything is we've lost this sense of ability, or the ability to love ourselves. And so where do we start? The only place you can start is in your own heart. And what's the next thing? What's the next thing outside of your heart? Is you. Start with yourself.
I think as children, we're told, to tone down our egos, or to tone down that love that comes from us, because, as little kids, at least in our generation, we're told, you're not supposed to be like that. You gotta be leery of the world. You're not supposed to like who you are. We have to make you the way we want you to be.
You need to toughen up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that masculine energy there. Toughen up. You can't be going around crying about every little animal and bug that dies,
Yeah, and
this
see
is
where
the
it
real
got
world.
us?
Yeah.
We came to full circle again. So, because being in our so-called senior years, or elder years, I like that one better. We've come to full
Our
circle.
grandmother years. There you go. Our grandmother years. Yeah.
Okay. And we're able to share this with the upcoming generation. It's like, okay, it took us this long to get it. So now we're going to pass these words on to you. Think about it. Get it right.
Well, this is the gift. This is the gift of wisdom, and the gift wisdom is a gift. It's not something you can manifest on your own. It's a gift, and so wisdom is given, and wisdom is there to enable others to avoid some of the pain, some of the suffering, some of the pitfalls of being a human, being a spirit in a human body, experiencing planet Earth. And so if we can do this, and we can put it out there, and it trickles down, and you have younger people thinking about this, then it's going to happen quicker for them because they're right on top of it. Their
Yeah.
energy is much more powerful than ours was and is in a lot of ways, and they've come through with different missions with us and different purposes for living. And part of our role here is to express that and say we're still here. We're still here. We've been dealing with this for 60 odd years, but we're still here, and we haven't lost faith in the fact that we know that there's a better way. We know there's a better way.
And so we're opening the door, and not even guiding. It's just we're opening the door to that light. We're just saying to others, don't be afraid of yourself. What you feel for yourself, don't think it's terrible to nurture yourself or to
Right.
nurture your spirit. It's not.
It's not a form of narcissism,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, which people confront with me. Well, that's very narcissistic. Well, it has nothing to do with that. Where if you want to look at the definitions of words, it's about loving yourself. It's about expressing love. It's
Yeah.
and making love the rule and guide of your life, rather than being affected by all of this outside influence that bombards your mind constantly and makes you very judgmental and makes you very critical of everything and everybody. I granted we live in it's a danger. There's a lot of danger on planet Earth, but it's not just for humans. It's for everything. It's the expression. And the gift is that we should be the ones who are able to look at that and realize it, and then live in perfect harmony with it, because we have this mind.
Yes, that's true. And it just changing a perception, or just even listening and just opening your mind to it, and use your mind as not to figure everything out, to let the information in, let the brain function, keep the body going, help however it works with the neurons, etc. But to let it all filter down to your heart chakra and start living from your heart. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you can just take one step at a time, even day by day, you're going to know its difference, and you're going to see everything around you react differently because you're projecting that love.
You will become less reactionary. And
That's true.
that's sort of the key, is to become less reactionary, to allow there to be a space. And that's what happens when you detach and you call back your energy. You're allowing a space to form between the polarity of issues. And you can say, now I can just take a breath. I don't have to react. So you become less reactionary, less impulsive. And then you get to use your mind for the great thing it is, the calculator, the computer, and to calculate and compute and say, what is a better way? How can I express love here rather than just reacting to the hate and the fear? How can I express love?
That is so true. It's just taking that thought of how do I express love. I mean, I think that's so foreign to people.
It's been foreign to me. As much as many experiences of love that I've had in my lifetime, I still find ways that it's just like, that's bizarre. And I have to actually talk to myself to say, why didn't I ever do that before? Hello? It's like, this is so simple and so easy. And it was like, and what I realized, it's because of detachment. It's because I'm no longer so heavily invested.
Well, actually, I'm going to have to start detaching from you, Charlie.
Okay.
This show anyhow.
All right. Let me read this last thing. I'll be quick. It's called The Law of Detachment, and it reads like this: in detachment lies the wisdom of uncertainty. In the wisdom of uncertainty lies the freedom from our past, from the known, which is the prison of past conditioning. And in our willingness to step into the unknown, the field of all possibilities, we surrender ourselves to the creative mind that orchestrates the dance of the universe. And I'm going to stop there. I will post this on my page, but yeah, it's an amazing journey.
All right, so Charlie, I do thank you, and
Thank
to
you.
the people there who are listening, Charlie will be on this journey of discovery with us, periodically when I can get hold of him. Now, in the last few seconds, I'm going to add, as you go forth into this week, walk your path in light and love, and remember to reach out to all that surrounds you in love, for you are angels in form. And join with me next week as we talk to Anne Burley, a Canadian author and screenplayer, as we ponder, are her stories fiction or the memories of parallel lives and past lives, in the Circle of Hearts Radio, FM, on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, this is my heart, from our hearts and my heart to you, to one heart. We wish you all the love. I'm Allayah.
And I'm Charlie Riverman.
And thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.